So you want to buy somebody a bottle of whiskey this Christmas, but you've got no idea where to start? Well, let me help you. Hello and welcome back to the channel, and yes, today I'm going to help you buy a special bottle of whiskey for that special person in your life, even though you've got no idea what you're looking for. Now, before we get into it, I should say, a few days ago I did a video all about whiskey-based gifts you can buy that aren't whiskey if you're going to struggle to pick a particular bottle. Link to that up there if you want to go see it, or in the description. But if you do want to buy a specific bottle, well, yes, I am here to help. So how are we going to do this? Well, I'm going to break this down firstly by region: Scotch, American, Irish. If you know that this person in your life likes a particular region of whiskey, then yes, that will help. And even if you don't, keep watching till the end, because I'm also going to cover, just what to get if you really do not know what they like at all, and what you buy the sort of person who already has pretty much everything. Just before we get on with the list, I will put links to what I think is the best place to buy each of these from in the description below. If it's an Amazon link, it's an affiliate link and I get a kickback, but I'm putting it there because it's the best price, not because of that. So rest assured, at the time of recording anyway, that is the place to get it from. But as always, do your due diligence, give it a search, and even if you can buy locally from an independent, even better. First, we're going to cover Scotch, and peated Scotch specifically. If this person in your life likes big, strong, smoky whiskey, these are the ones I think you should buy. A quick note just before we start this peated whiskey list though, I'm not the biggest peated whiskey fan, so the recommendations in this section are very much coming from other people I've spoken to and trust their opinion. But as we get further down the list, I most definitely will be making some personal recommendations from my own collection. In at the budget end of the list is the Glenmorangie Peated Elgin Classic. This is a sub £30 bottle. You do need to note though that there is also an unpeated version of this available, so if it doesn't say peated on the label, you're buying the wrong one. In general, cheaper peated whiskies are a bit difficult, and the supermarket selection of peated whiskies is also pretty poor. So whilst throughout the rest of this list there will be a lot of supermarket buys, there won't be in this first section. On to my mid price point, coming in at £60, is Port Charlotte's 10-year-old. Port Charlotte, a brand by the Bruichladdich distillery, and well, this isn't the first time they're going to feature on this list. Their peated options, it's an Islay, traditional peated Islay, and has won many awards. Everyone I know who has tried this absolutely raves about it. In at the high price point, it is yet another Islay recommendation, this time from Bourbon, and it is their Octave. Comes in at around £115, 15 years old. This is meant to be one of the very best out there, and Bourbon always put on an absolutely cracking dram. And on to the super premium. This time, again Bruichladdich, again Islay. There is definitely a theme in this part of the video, and it is their Octomore collection. From £120 all the way through to £200 and beyond, anything with the words Octomore collection on it are destined to be absolutely fantastic presents for that peat loving person in your life. And into the unpeated Scotch territory. This is one that I have been banging on about for absolutely ages. It's my budget pick, the Glenlivet 12. It is less than 30 quid a bottle, or around 30 quid a bottle anyway, most places. It's available in your supermarket. You can pick it up with your shopping, or you can order it online from Amazon, from all the whiskey shops, because, well, it's the Glenlivet. It is widely available, but sometimes widely available doesn't mean just good marketing. It's genuinely a really cracking dram. I'll be honest, at this point in the video I already think Bruichladdich should be paying me royalties, because for their third entry already is Bruichladdich the Classic Laddie. This is particularly interesting because it is an Islay whiskey that is unpeated. Most people won't buy from Islay distilleries because they know traditionally they're heavily smoky and peaty. This is not, no peat whatsoever. I think it is absolutely gorgeous. The bottles have changed since this one. They're a little bit thinner and taller now, but again, available in your supermarket, available on all the whiskey shops online, and it comes in at around 45 quid a bottle, which I think for the quality that's in here is absolutely fantastic. And then at the high price point option, it looks like Bruichladdich is also getting a lot of love in this video. This though isn't the bottle I want you to buy. You could buy this one, it is very good. This is their 12-year-old. It is an incredibly festive whiskey. It's full of, you know, raisins, sultanas, Christmas cake vibes. And it's fantastic, and it's a great Christmas whiskey. But they do this in a cask strength option, and that is available for £80 a bottle. It is quite a bit more than this one, but honestly, it is absolutely worth it. And yeah, I would kind of wish I had one to show you. At the premium end of the unpeated Scotch market, you could do far worse than taking a visit to the Cadenhead's online shop. Now, these two bottles are completely not what I'm going to recommend, because Cadenhead's is an independent bottler. They don't do large volume of anything, and as a result, well, everything sells out pretty quickly. But I've taken a look at what they've got now. I do have a recommendation for you, and that is the Cadenhead's Glenfarclas 22-year-old at £155 a bottle. Now, yes, it's extravagant, it's the super high end, but I can absolutely guarantee that is going to be a scintillating dram, because Cadenheads don't miss. They are ultra reliable, and even if that one doesn't quite do it for you, it's a little bit over budget, take a look at what else they've got in stock, because honestly, they always absolutely nail it. And just like that, we are into the Americas. If this whiskey-loving person in your life is partial to a bourbon, these are the bottles you should probably be buying. Starting down at the budget end, Wild Turkey 101. It is available for £24. It's in the supermarket. It is honestly just incredible value for money. It is worth way more than that in terms of what it delivers. I will never stop talking about it. It's absolutely supreme. For the mid-range price point though, I've got two options for you. Jack Daniel's single barrel. This happens to be the barrel strength version. This is a lot more expensive, but the regular single barrel, I would never begrudge anyone from buying me a bottle, that is for sure. And I've also got Eagle Rare 10. Both of these can be found for around £35 each, and the reason I'm giving you both is because they do bring slightly different things to the table. If this person in your life is a big Jack Daniel's fan, the Jack Daniel's single barrel is a fantastic shout. And if they're not particularly, well, brand snobbish, it's also a brilliant, brilliant drop. I'd be hard pressed to choose between them which one is my favourite, although I'll be honest, I do edge slightly onto the Eagle Rare. But if this person you think maybe doesn't appreciate Jack Daniel's, and of course lots of people might buy them Jack Daniel's related things if they're into bourbon or American whiskey, so the Eagle Rare might be a fantastic way to do something just a little bit different. And I say, same price point. These are actually selling at 50, 60 quid a bottle, even more in the US where they've got limited allocation, so to be able to pick this up for around £35 is an absolute steal. In at the high price point, a second visitation from Wild Turkey. This time it's their rare breed barrel strength or barrel proof. And it is £55 a bottle, and it is just kind of that next step up. It really is. These are all very nice, well-balanced, depthy bourbons. The rare breed, though, offers something extra. It's bigger, it's darker, it's deeper, it's more brooding. There is more flavour to be found in there, and it really does feel like a significant step up, which at its price point I think still contributes a pretty good bargain. But if you wanted to go all out, you wanted to spend a bit more, and you're looking at that super premium end, E.H. Taylor Small Batch is the way to go, in my opinion. There is other things out there at similar price. You can get Blantons at a similar price, but in my experience, I just think most people prefer the E.H. Taylor. It's not for everyone. I've had a few people say to me they just don't get the hype, but it's a bit fiery, sure, at times, and it's a bit, I don't know, but there's something special about it. There is definitely something special about it, and for me, that is a fantastic shout for, well, it's just over 100 quid normally, but find an offer on it and you can get it down in the 80s for sure, at which point it is an absolute great premium buy. And then back over to this side of the Atlantic for Irish whiskey. Now, my personal Irish whiskey collection is not that big. I've got a bit more than these two, but nothing I really want to show you. And I'm going to start off at the budget end of the market with something, a name that everyone will be familiar with, and that is Jameson, but not their regular everyday offering. This is Jameson's Black Barrel, which, despite having a list price of 36 to 40 quid in some places, with a Tesco Club card, you can get it for as low as £26 a bottle, which for me personally, is an absolute steal. That is a genuinely brilliant bottle and is a significantly more interesting and depthier dram than the original Jameson. In terms of price points, Irish whiskey is a bit tricky. There's a few really cheap ones that are still pretty good. There's not a lot in the middle, and then you get kind of upper high tier towards premium, but never crazy money really. So in at the mid-tier point, we're actually going all the way to £55 straight away, which is a bit more than maybe most mid-tier would want to be. But this is Redbreast 12, and I have to say, in terms of a well-balanced all-round dram, it is absolutely beautiful. I cannot recommend it highly enough. And then going to the top tier for Irish whiskey, it looks almost exactly the same as this, and that's because it's Redbreast 12 cask strength. It really is just one of those very special bottles, and it is worth paying the premium on. That comes in at around £85 a bottle, and it is just, as I say, one of those special bottles that I think a lot of people, if they're into Irish whiskey, will really, really appreciate. And this bottle also serves to represent two others, neither of which are the actual bottle. This is Green Spot. This is the kind of mid-price point. It's nice, but maybe not complex enough for its price point. I really like it, but I know a lot of people aren't that keen, or certainly don't think it's worth the value. But there are some options from the Spot company that certainly are. On equal footing with the Redbreast 12 cask strength is the Yellow Spot 12, 80 quid a bottle, so slightly cheaper than the previous one, and is something a bit rarer, a bit less commonly spotted that people might appreciate. And then in at premium is another one from the Spot company, and that is Red Spot, coming in at £120 a bottle. It's 15 years old, and I'll be honest, I haven't tried that one, but I hear nothing but fantastic things and would very much like to. So what if you really don't know what they like and just need a bottle to buy that most people will approve of? Well, these are your answers. We're not going to go staggered stage points. We've got budget and we've got kind of intermediate. There's no point going high and top tier if you don't really know what it is they're going to enjoy, because chances are you're going to make a very expensive mistake. Now you'll notice two of these bottles have already appeared in this video, being the Glenlivet 12 and the Bruichladdich Classic Laddie. That is how good and reliable these two bottles are, because they can appeal to pretty much anyone. But down at the budget end, Old Pulteney. This is a representation. This is a more premium bottle, but Old Pulteney 12, available in your local supermarket, is an absolute steal. It comes in at around £30 a bottle, and it's just beautiful, light, floral, got a bit of sea breeze, no offensive notes in there. I think most whiskey lovers, whatever it is they like, could get on with it to some degree at least. Then, as we've already said, Glenlivet 12, another supermarket buy, another 30 quid bottle, and it is just, they're very similar, these two, but the Glenlivet is just a little bit more Speyside, a little bit more honeyed, a little bit less salinity, because it's not a coastal distillery. And I think either of these are very safe bets. Into the slightly more mid-tier then, this is Woodford Reserve Double Oaked, and the reason I've picked this is because firstly it's an American whiskey, which means we're not doing all Scotch here, but it's an American whiskey that I think almost everyone will like, because it is just that bit sweeter than all the others. It's not synthetically sweetened, it's not got, you know, sugars or syrup added like some of the flavoured whiskies like, you know, Jack Daniel's honey. It's not one of those, which means whiskey purists won't be offended by it, but people who maybe don't know their way around whiskey that well and just know that they like it, well, generally really latch onto this quite a lot, because it's got full of vanilla and chocolatey notes whilst being a proper bourbon. The Woodford Reserve Double Oak comes in at around £45, can be found in some supermarkets, but if not, certainly well available online. And finally, Bruichladdich the Classic Laddie, again £45. This is just like these two, but up a notch. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a similar level of just consistent, unoffensive, but still beautifully poised brilliance. It's really hard to describe. I'm not going to give you a full review of it now, but that Bruichladdich really is one of my favourite bottles of all time, and I really need to get another one because, well, there's not much left in there at all. And finally, what do you buy that whiskey-loving person in your life that already appears to have everything they could ever want? Well, these, I hope, are the answer. Now, as with everything, when something becomes special, it automatically becomes a bit more expensive. So the budget option here is actually 40 quid a bottle. It's called Campbelltown Lock and is a blend, which I know sounds maybe a little pricey for a blend, but this is blended by Legends Springbank, the Springbank distillery, using an array of different Campbelltown single malts. And, well, I didn't put any other Campbelltown whiskies in this list because ultimately they can be a bit divisive and a little bit of an acquired taste, which means they're not great for buying someone who you don't really understand what they like. But if that person in your life really does have everything, then they may appreciate a bottle of this because, well, it's relatively inexpensive and provides an experience that they're unlikely to get unless they've already got a load of Glen Scotia and Springbank products. Now, in at the midpoint actually isn't this bottle. This really should be sat over here. I don't have a representation of what I'm recommending for the midpoint, but in for £50 a bottle is something called Knockneen. It is a relatively new distillery, but they offer something truly different. You've probably seen the advertising, or at least this whiskey loving person in your life certainly has probably seen their advertising, because they are advertising strong, but they're a small independent, and it is just one of those drams that I think people will be curious about. They will have inevitably seen it somewhere, but there's a good chance they haven't tried it yet. So as a result, I think that is a great one to go for. Now, you may recognise this bottle, the Bruichladdich 12, and once again, I am recommending you buy the Bruichladdich 12 cask strength. It comes in at 80 quid a bottle, but it really is the most Christmassy drink I can think of, the most Christmassy whiskey out there. And as a result, I just think, yes, it has got to be worth another mention, because if all else fails, and they've already got everything else, even if you buy them another one of those, it's so perfect for Christmas Day at least that, well, they can't possibly begrudge that, really. If they've already got a bottle, so what? They'll open that one, they'll share it around, and it will feel truly festive. And finally, I've got two entries for the premium. This one representing, once again, the bottle of Cadenheads I mentioned before, the Cadenheads Glenfarclas 22-year-old, coming in at £155 a bottle, because there's a good chance, if the person you know has got everything, they haven't got everything from Cadenheads, because they are such limited runs, and the quality is so there that you really have to take a look. And finally, the holy hand grenade of bourbon. This is Blanton's, specifically Blanton's Gold. The regular Blanton's, mixed reviews. The Blanton's Gold, less so. Currently available, limited to one per person on Master of Malt, at £150. I paid more than that for this bottle, which I'm a bit annoyed about now. But anyway, doesn't matter. 150 quid, and there's a good chance that even if they've got another one, they really aren't going to begrudge you buying them, because, well, Blanton's isn't always available. It's not always there. It's certainly not always there at 150 quid a bottle. And as a result, yes, if they're a bourbon lover especially, that you really will not get too many complaints from them out of that, I do not think. And those are my recommendations for buying whiskey this Christmas for the person in your life who loves whiskey, but you don't really know what to buy. Hopefully this video has been helpful. If it is, give it a thumbs up, let me know in the comments. And if you do know your whiskey and think I've missed something off, also let me know in the comments so other people can see it and take those recommendations into account. Also, in the description of this video, as I say, will be links to what I believe to be the best place at the time of writing to buy all of these. But as always, do your due diligence, search around, find yourselves the best price. But that really is all I've got to say about it. So as always, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like it. If you haven't already, subscribe if you'll be so kind. And I'll catch you next time. Cheers.